Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the showdown between the Tomb Kings led by the High Queen KHALIDA atop her mighty snake, and Bretonnia, who's going to be led by the Fey Enchantress. So as far as this game goes, we're going to be trying to use the double Bone Giant. So the Bone Giant's pretty good against Bretonnian Cav. They do of course have anti-large and massive armor piercing with 721 missile damage, but we're also going to be stacking them on top of the High Queen KHALIDA. So this is a bit of a, I would say, a haggard synergy. I don't think it's the best, but she does give buffs. So 15% missile damage, that's actually pretty huge. And on top of that, 15 reload skill, as well as 15% armor piercing damage. So that would partially explain why their missile damage is so incredibly high right now. What the downside is that KHALIDA is very good in melee, and she's relatively expensive. So by having KHALIDA stand by your Bone Giants, you're losing her out in the front line and your other engagements, but by having her with the Bone Giants, you're getting some pretty huge values. So that's kind of the tricky thing. Maybe you don't bring KHALIDA on the snake, you just bring her on foot and go really cheap, but I don't know, something else I have to, look into here. But we do have High Queen KHALIDA and the two Bone Giants. Front line's going to be Tomb Guard and Skeleton Warriors, with the Kepler Guard, I think, somewhere in the formation. Looks like they're there on the far side. In the back, we do have the King Nikesha's Scorpion Legion, two groups of the Tomb Guards with halberds. Obviously, the Bone Giants are pretty expensive investments, so we want to have a couple quote-unquote elite infantry with anti-large and armor piercing defend off the Bretonnia Knights, and a couple groups of carrions. That's pretty much it. So a little bit tricky on this map since my opponent does have a lot of forest to work with, so I can't just force him in. He can kind of move up with his infantry. I can't really shoot at his cav until he wants me to, so that was something that, like I was saying in some of my previous casts, it's really important that you kind of know the map that you're playing on. So we do have the two Bone Giants here. I also forgot to mention we do have the Lich Priest with the Lore of Nehekara, so he's going to be having some fun with that. For my opponent's army, he does have Mounted DM and Archers taking some fire from the Bone Giants. In the back here, he has a massive Cav contingent and a pretty big infantry corps as well. But for the Cav, Knights of the Lionhearted, Knights of the Realm, it looks like it's going to be all Knights of the Realm with the Knights of the Lionhearted leading the formation. So definitely some very cool stuff there. Fey Enchantress and a Paladin for the anti-large, and the Fey Enchantress is obviously just so good. Chalice of Potions can bomb infantry, and the Favor of the Fey is just such a good buff. For his main line, he does have the Men-at-Arms with polearms. It looks like that's it for the entire front line, which isn't bad, to be honest. These guys have charge defense against large, against constructs, really good melee defense with 41, okay leadership by Bretonnian standards. Men-at-Arms with polearms are just a really good unit. I mean, this is kind of like how it used to be back in the day in Warhammer 1. Men-at-Arms with polearms and archers were like the standard armies for Bretonnia here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Entire secondary line, a peasant bowman with the fire arrows. So that's actually going to hurt against my infantry, especially the Kepler Guard. So I really like this build for my opponent. It's absolutely awesome. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. So over here, the Carrion are going to be scouting ahead, and I do see the Mounted Yeoman, but I think I actually issued an engage order with the Carrion. Not noticing all these knights, but they got revealed, yeah, right as I came in here. So he could potentially turn around with these knights, and as soon as I see that, I'm like, nope, 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 gotta flee. So the Carrion are going to try and run. The Bone Giants, not wanting to waste ammunition, and now realizing that my opponent is in the forest here, I'm going to be squaring up my army. So I'm going to be pulling back just a little bit. You can see the battle line is going to be kind of forming like right here in this area. Excuse me, I'm yawning. I don't know why. It's like 5 or 6 p.m. But the Carrion are actually still getting some decent damage on the Yeoman. It looks like the Fey Enchantress and the Paladin are having second thoughts about helping, but yes, they're going to go in and finish off those Carrion. As the Bretonnia Knights, it looks like one Knights of the Realm are going to intercept, and Carrion are infantry size, so at least a bonus for his large one won't be too devastating against those guys. But the bird's definitely being annoying. In the meantime, my opponent advancing forward, and I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know if my front line can deal with all this. The Bone Giants obviously need to be generating more value against my opponent, but he's able to just hide in the forest, which is, fair play to him. I mean, it's a forest map. Definitely take advantage of the terrain you're given. The Bone Giant's definitely a bit of a dicey pick here, but still getting in there and doing some good damage. Picking off a 7 or 8 Knights of the Realm there. I think it was 7 in total, with the blessings of the High Queen, who's kind of sitting back there making sure they're happy. But look at this volume of fire from the peasants. Just raining it down on these skeletons. And even though I have silver shields, look how much damage that did. Without silver shields, that would have seriously just melted that group. And yeah, right now I'm falling back, so I don't think they're getting their shield bonus as they're running here, because I think they have to be facing the fire. Yeah, pretty sure that's how it works. But anyways, the Lord of Nehekara Priest is going to be falling back as well. The Bone Giants are going to be turning right here and just blasting into these Mounted Yeomen. They do some pretty good damage. It's not the most ideal use. How did they only get like 2? It looks like it like cleaved through the center formation right here. But KHALIDA is going to be buffing their reload skill, and of course they have that really, really good and juicy damage. Let's see how they do. Yeah, those Yemen definitely going to want to run. They're wavering now and pretty much done for. So realizing that I was just going to be taking damage from these peasants, I decided to advance the Kepler Guard and the Tomb Guard. The Tomb Guard will do very well here in the front line, but Skeleton Warriors not so much. In the back, Carrion doing a really good job, actually about to waver and break these peasant bowmen with the fire arrows. So definitely, I think to address the weakness of this build that I've observed so far, I think bringing a couple more groups of Carrion would have been pretty good. But man, they're doing a really good job just breaking through my opponent's back line, Bone Giants providing some unnecessary overwatch, but it looks really, really cool. And this is going to be really bad for my opponent. I'm getting some really solid value from these carrion, breaking all of his archers as the Kepler Guard finally make it into the front line. So I use the Nero's Incantation to give him some physical resist. You can see they're going to be getting some healing and hopefully be able to get through these halberds, maybe, but that's a lot of fire coming in, even though some of it is friendly fire. In the meantime, my opponent, being very conservative in the forest, is waiting for me to waste my Bone Giant's ammunition, but I was trying to be patient as well. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and hold out, not using my ammunition, hope that my infantry in the front line will do okay. And the carrion in the back, though, really just hunting down these peasants. Usirian's Incantation going down to get some damage on those guys. It looks like the mounted yeomen in the back are broken up. These peasant bowmen are kind of broken up as well. So routing a couple of groups. Balance of power at this point, relatively even, maybe a little bit in my opponent's favor, but I honestly think that's just how it started out in the beginning of the game. So trying to force my opponent's hand, I do send in the High Queen KHALIDA, who is taking those fire arrows like a champ, not doing too much damage. I'm able to side strafe and dodge some of them, but I'm kind of like, I'm going to charge her in, see if I can disrupt these guys in the back line. So the Angry Snake Lady getting back here, just surfing in, wrecking some of those peasants, getting the poison explosion as well as she surfs through them on her Sand Snake. And yeah, doing pretty good. I mean, the peasant archer line is being buckled for the most part, but even if they do rout, this is something that's going to be pretty annoying. They're going to be able to turn about face and just start shooting, unless I have something to really capitalize with, and all I really have to pursue with are the carrion. So a little bit stressful there. But in the meantime, the Bone Giants are going to be getting some fire into these Knights of the Realm, who are charging out to meet my filthy Tomb Kings head on, and it looks like they're just going to be kind of finishing off these carrion as they do sweep through. In the infantry fight, Skeleton Warriors putting up a good fight against those men-at-arms, but the rest of my infantry have been melted by the Overwatch fire from these peasant bowmen, so a little bit tough in that regard, but a lot of my opponent's army is very tattered. I still have the Bone Giants, and I have a lot of troops in reserve. So realizing my front line was relatively collapsed, I'm going to be grabbing these Skeleton Warriors and intercepting these men-at-arms with polearms here. Bone Giants are going to be drawing and not shooting for some reason, so I think I decided to switch targets. I got so excited, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a slow-mo, this is going to be cool. With the Bone Giant here, I'm going to be buffing up, if I'm not mistaken, with the Patras, giving a massive missile damage. They're going to be shooting into the Paladins and the Knights here, hopefully able to cleave some of these Knights of Bretonnia. It looks like they got a couple there, but that looked like a little bit more friendly fire than I was bargaining for. But his archers are back online in the back, just kind of shooting in. Disregard for their fellow peasants, just shooting into the blobs here and killing my skeletons. These Skeleton Warriors doing a pretty good job for the Tomb Kings here with their silver shields absorbing the damage. And you can see that the Realm of Souls has procced, which is going to give them some okay heals. Bone Giants drawing back, shooting in again, and going to be going after some of these Knights of the Realm. So finally, for the first time, starting to get some really cost-effective shots with these Bone Giants, able to take down some of these Knights of the Realm. So definitely pretty happy about that situation there. But the peasants have reformed ranks. They're disciplined from being whipped by their knightly, their knight overlords here. They're back in formation. Now they're just kind of shooting in and slowly melting my Skeleton Warriors. Over here, the last of the Tomb Guard do fall to the AoE effects of the Fey Enchantress and the Paladin. We're kind of being forced back a little bit, but still the Bone Giants are always going to be a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, there's not too many open targets here. The Knights of the Realm are hiding. Bretonnia Knights have hid back here, and it looks like they got some pretty fat healing on some of these guys. And the Knights of the Lionhearted are just super healthy. I think they've been held in reserve. So man, my forces are just getting worn down by this inexorable advance. And I know a lot of people are asking about effective strategies against Bone Giants with Bretonnia, and it seems to be working pretty darn well. So the men-at-arms are going to be pushing forward. The Bone Giants, getting a little bit desperate, are going to now start shooting at the peasants. But unfortunately just missing horribly. Not terribly accurate. Looks like KHALIDA is still in range to buff them, I think. Yeah, so one of them is still getting KHALIDA's buffs, which is good. Halberds, probably going to have to send them in. King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion are going to move in as well to try and disrupt these guys. And this could be the thing that turns the tide of the battle. The Ushabti summoned to the back line. It's going to force the Knights out of the forest, and they're going to start cleaving these peasants. So you can see the Ushabti rising from the... Oh, that's not good. I just feel bad for that guy. That's horrible. But yeah, he got wrecked pretty hard. Peasants of Bretonnia getting shredded back here pretty badly, being picked up and dismembered by these Ushabti. So I'm going to be rotating over here, going after these peasants. But you can see this is going to get the Knights out of the forest. The Knights of the Realm, having seen enough of their peasants being ravaged by these Ushabti, are going to come out and intercept the Ushabti, which is good, because the Bone Giants are then going to switch targets here and hopefully be able to get some shots. Your accuracy hasn't been quite what I wanted this game. I mean, still kind of hanging in there, but the bounce of power is in my opponent's favor, and I do have a false inflation, but we are getting a lot of peasants. Peasants are kind of getting crushed. King Nikesh's are in there. KHALIDA is going to be rushing in on the weak flank. I don't think her buffs were necessary at this point, but she's going to get in there with her Angry Snake form and use her AoEs and be able to wreck some of these peasants, which is going to be good. Tomb Strike going down, but some of the Knights of the Realm who are hiding in the forest over here pop out, and they ambush KHALIDA, which is going to be a little bit tough here. And it doesn't really look like there's any reinforcements nearby for KHALIDA as the Fey Enchantress and a Paladin come in. She's also surrounded by Knights of the Realm, who of course do have anti-large, and on her Angry Snake, she certainly is a large target. Granted, her curse does go off and it does some decent AoE damage, kind of softening up these Knights of the Realm. I also do reposition the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, so they were kind of fighting some spears over here, so I tried to force path them, and it looks like they're able to buy KHALIDA a little bit of time, but the Fey Enchantress is still hard on the hunt here, and it looks like a very good Chalice of Potions is going to be going down for my opponent, because I was really bunched up here, and let's see if we can avoid it. Fey Enchantress aura is draining, and the Chalice of Potions is going to be raining some hot, holy damage, holy fire, whatever you guys want to call it, from the sky. Thankfully, I am able to avoid it. Also, some Overwatch Fire from the Bone Giants is able to take out some of those Knights of the Realm, so we avoided a very dangerous situation. The Angry Snake Lady has escaped for now, but looking from the forest, a heroic group of the Knights of the Realm and the Knights of the Lionhearted are going to be pushing out, and it's really dangerous because, I mean, these guys are essentially a counter to Bone Giants in a way, and the Snake Lady tries to shoot her, I think it's called like something shrapnel, but really I should have used it earlier against some of the infantry. But over here, a Paladin is on the hunt, so the Paladin is coming after KHALIDA. Paladins, of course, you know, as you guys know, in the recent patches do have a bonus versus large, so it's going to be really dangerous. She only has 1500 HP, but she's a really good duelist. 65 melee attack and 60 melee defense, a bunch of combat skills, and of course the Paladin is going to be a 2-1 here. The Lich Priest of Nakar is going to be chasing, and we do actually break the Paladin with Terror due to the Tomb Strike, but he gets a huge heal. So he gets a regrowth there, and he's probably going to turn and fight in just a moment, which is going to be really tough. She's still really damn low. In the meantime, my Bone Giants are relatively compromised. You can see the Knights of the Lionhearted and the other heroes of Bretonnia and the Fey Enchanters are going to be colliding with these Bone Giants and doing pretty huge damage. The Bone Giants only have 25 melee defense, and are okay in melee. They still have 400 weapon strength, can do some pretty good damage. Probably could solo a Knight of the Realm one-on-one, maybe. Actually, I don't know. That's hard to say. If they got the charge, maybe the Knights of the Realm would win. But the Bone Giants having some problems, getting pretty worn down. All of the supporting elements for the Tomb Kings, including these halberds, and I think that's pretty much it, actually. I don't think there's anything else. Another group of halberds over here, which aren't going to be able to cut through the Bretonnian halberds quickly. The Curse of Cassar does go down, which helps a tiny bit, but really it's pretty negligible. High Queen KHALIDA is making a last stand with her Bone Giants here, going to be swooping in on her Angry Snake and doing some damage. It looks like we do actually break, not the Knights of the Lionhearted, but the other group did get broken. But the Bone Giants, as soon as these halberds like make their, it's like the inexorable march. They're just like pushing through. It's like the doomsday clock. As soon as these men-at-arms and pole-arms get back onto the Bone Giants, it's pretty much going to be all she wrote. KHALIDA's pretty much too weak to defend these guys, and I think, did she actually just get evaporated? No, there she's crumbling due to army losses. The Paladin's coming in just for the glorified finish. He can claim that kill. We'll just give it to that guy. He can ride home and tell stories about that, even though he didn't do it technically, but it is what it is. Bone Giants firing the last of their magical quivers here, or arrows, and just being dragged down due to army losses. So well played. It was a really fun game. My opponent did an excellent job at taking advantage of the terrain of the forest, and I kind of just had to sit there and just wait, like, because normally you could generate value while your infantry are fighting his infantry. Maybe you can whittle down the knights and you know, do pretty well in that respect. But honestly, like, I had to just kind of sit there with the Bone Giants while the knights came in and out and were using the trees very effectively. So that was pretty cool. And another thing on that note, I think this was kind of an experimental build. Of course, it's not what I would normally bring against the Bretonnians, but the High Queen, I don't know. The buff seems fun on paper and fluffy, but I really don't think it's worth it. Arkin the Black, etc. They're all going to be better choices of, you know, especially Arkin. Arkin's going to be really good in this matchup. Granted, etc. is good too, bonus versus large AP. But yeah, the High Queen KHALIDA just didn't really cut it, and Lord of Nakar was okay, but I think going with Lord of Death or even you know, one of the other options would probably be better. Frontline was okay. Bone Giants normally do pretty good against the Bretonnian Cav, but my opponent did a really good job, and I also like the fact that he went cheaper. Instead of going very expensive with the Grail Knights, he got Knights of the Realm, which only cost like 1,000. So I felt like the amount of damage they did to the Knights of the Realm would have been like about the same they would have done to some Grail Knights, just pound for pound. So I think that was a really good choice by my opponent, going very wide with the Knights of the Realm and stuff. Made it a lot harder to kind of work those guys down, so that was really cool. Carrion were pretty solid, but honestly, I would probably, maybe, if at all, bring like one Bone Giant. I think the Ushopti Great Bows are a little bit of a safer pick. But yeah, but still, I think bringing one Bone Giant isn't bad. I mean, it kind of adds perpetual pressure to Bretonnia, but I needed a force that could kind of overwhelm his front line and get to his archers, so maybe getting some, you know, additional carrion, things like that, but yeah, I'll have to try and get a game. I'll try and get a game in the next couple days playing Tomb Kings against Bretonnia, but using my more traditional build that I've used in the past, so we can compare and contrast. My opponent played really well. I loved his build. I liked the halberd front line, the skeleton or the peasant archers. Well, some of them are skeletons now, but the peasant bowmen did a really good job of kind of melting my front line despite the shields, and just provided him really good, you know, constant pressure. And of course, the 4 Knights of the Realm plus the Knights of the Lionhearted was pretty gangster. So very well played to my opponent, the Knock. Look forward to running into again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Tomb King versus Bretonnia game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.